Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again it is time for a max effort upper day, but a quick reminder for those of you who watch these videos, please remember to click like down below, be greatly appreciated. Alright, over to the training. I decided to use the Buffalo bar today, built up to 322 and felt like, better stop there. And yes, I'm aware I'm not quite as strong as I was, back during the strongest part of prepping for the meet, but strength will come back up slow. I have to get back in my groove. Again, making it work. But, keeping in mind, obviously, some supplementation is different. And at this point, I'm really playing the long game. It's going to be about long-term body composition, keeping health on point, blood work pretty, building tendons, right? All those things. They're going to be real important. But yeah, the 322 was pretty heavy. I don't know that I could have gone much heavier than that today. All right, afterwards, and this kind of tells me where I'm at, I decided on the ME upper days, I do want to do a little bit of heavier work on the pressing because I'm going to do a lot of dumbbells and volume on dynamic day. So I did nice good pauses and did 275 on bench press for 3 sets of 3. When I grabbed it, I was kind of hoping I'd probably be closer to 5 reps, but I realized, yeah, it's going to be about 3. And so I did the same thing on incline bench. And again, spacing on the grip, it's pinkies on rings on this, and that's because I get the most wrist stacking. It's going to give me the most chest activation. I need to make sure my chest is growing. And, that's another reason I decided to work incline in. I want to do a lot of dumbbell work, a lot of incline. Incline really does seem to make me a lot better out of the bottom of the bench, as it does most people. We know the reasons why. And I'm going to bring my total pressing volume up to equal to my pulling volume. Now, people will say, a lot of coaches say, you should do a lot more pulling volume, except that I have in the past, and I have a really big, thick back. So in my case, that advice they're giving isn't always intended for me. I feel like I could use the additional pressing while keeping it reasonable enough that we don't have overuse. So, it's only going to be at most 12 sets of actual chest presses per week spaced over 2 workouts outside of max work and speed work. But I'm doing dumbbells on the other day, so I might mess with some incline dumbbell, after flat dumbbell on speed days. And today, of course, I do J-arm presses after, but yeah, I just did triples on these. And again, there's chest activation here. And I want to get stronger on these, and the hypertrophy will also get fed by the dynamic effort days, especially if I come in and just rep out dumbbells on these same movements. We'll get a lot of hypertrophy for carryover. But the other thing here is that I'm realizing with what I'm doing a little different now, I'm losing some of the neural drive. And some other stuff people will notice, I'm willing to mess with the little chins now. I'm willing to do some extra incline work. And here's why with all this stuff. I feel like injuries are going to be not an issue. And again, just so that people understand, yes, I am using growth hormone. It's come up. So therefore, my tendons and everything should be responding well. It's great for injury prevention, for healing old injuries. And I feel like as long as I put some extra focus in tendon health, with that in the equation, because again, this is something that we notice over 40 lifters, actually even over 35 lifters, really, really massively benefit from that more than younger lifters do. We really do. Because again, the tendon health, the collagen synthesis, all that stuff really seems to matter. So that's going to be a big deal. So again, I'm avoiding overreaching, avoiding overuse by rotating movements enough, limiting total volume. I'm just going to focus on, outside of max work and speed work, really only about 12 total sets a week, no more than 6 in a workout, towards most of the major movement patterns that would be, pressing, upper back pulling, so on and so forth, squat and hinge variations. And I think that's where that balance needs to be. And then we can do extra work for weak points. What's that going to be? Triceps, maybe some side delt, right? Now, some people will argue with all the incline and pulling, my delts are probably covered. And while I agree, again, I do worry about the side delt, upper trap and stuff a little bit. So I think me throwing in those few sets will help. So what do we do for the rest of the work today after the JM presses? All right, glad you asked. Did 3 sets of chins. around 10 reps on everything. At a certain point, I lose count. Some of them, as I'm getting fatigue, I might lose a rep. And then I supersetted all this stuff with the high rep band press downs. Because again, I haven't been doing these as much lately. And one of the things that we noticed made my closed grip bench climb at least was all that high volume band tricep work. Is it because it made my triceps grow? Is it because the tendons got thicker? Could be whole combinations of it. But I did see the strongest benching I've seen since I was in my 20s. We got up to a 365 close grip before I kind of got a little sick again here and had to move and detrained. So again, these work, and I think I need to put a heavy emphasis on doing large volumes of these. This is going to be the one exception to my volume rule. I'm going to hammer these band press downs, but they're not quite the same thing, are they? They're a prehab and restorative type exercise. So again, not really the same thing. Now at the chins, I think the thing's going to be limited to 3 sets, twice a week at most. Again, I get the most bicep activation out of stuff like this. Same with the neutral grip pull-ups. Again, they make my biceps grow. They're one of the few things it ever has. I don't have great bicep genetics. We all know this. So I need to incorporate more of them. And since I'm going to do laterals and I'm doing speed pulls and stuff again, I feel like my upper back will probably be okay. And if it's not, then I'll add some extra stuff there. But again, I feel like that combination will work. So I ended up doing 3 sets of chins and then the band press downs between every single set. 3 sets of chins and then 3 sets of neutral grip, wide grip pull-ups. So I take in the widest setting I have there, did the neutral grip. Now these are 2 of the best bicep exercises out there if we go off the data. So my biceps are getting work. Could I throw something else in later? Sure. But for me, triceps are going to be a much, much, much bigger focus. And again, I do need to be mindful of, potential tendon issues from too much supine grip work. So it might be hammer curls, reverse curls. If I do anything supine, it will need to be like an incline curl to where we just focus on the stretch, reflex the lengthened position, which we know gives the most growth and forces me to use a lighter weight. But these feel completely different. People think that, oh, these are quite similar movements, but they feel vastly different to me in my back, my shoulders, arms, everything. They feel like definitely completely different exercises. The neutral grip pull-up like this versus the chin-up. I definitely feel things like my posterior delts a lot more on those than I do the chins. So a lot of that upper back area. And again, we just keep cranking away on those band press downs. Like I said, I ended up doing 7 sets. The first ones, because they were so short together, I just tried to hit 40, maybe an extra rep in there. And then the last one, because I did it at the end of the laterals, I ended up getting something like close to 60 reps, I think. But it's just getting that pump, getting blood flow to it, working those tendons, getting that overspeed eccentric from the bands. Okay, that's what causes a lot of micro tearing. So again, we're doing a lot of that, again, just to build up the tendons. And I think combined with the special supplements, I think we're going to see really good results there in terms of tendon health and everything. But also, again, I think it's going to make it easier for me to do movements that have historically caused me some issues if I keep the volumes in check. Such as incline, maybe overhead again one day, but I'm not going to promise that. But able to do chin-ups, more pull-ups, all that stuff. But again, volume going to have to be reasonable. But I feel like the rest of the upper back and shoulder gets finished easily. I took these down a little stricter as well. So I took them back down to 28 and I focused on doing them really, really strict, a lot more strict and controlled than I've been doing. So again, having to think in terms of stimulus versus fatigue. All right. Again, this will help bring the stimulus to fatigue back down to where there's no real loading. And I'm wanting to avoid axial loading for the most part outside of my squatting and deadlifting. Because again, I'm going to do double maxes again. I'm going to probably do 5x5 for most of the dynamic. We're going to get a lot of volume, with the squat and deadlift variations. So I want everything else to avoid that. But yeah, happy with these. I got 10 and I think I squeezed out an extra rep or so on the last set and I hit failure. Like you can't see it there, but I tried to just do another rep. My arms didn't move. So technically failure. And then we just banged out this last set of band press downs. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys next time.